Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. You're watching MLOps series episode 3, and in this we're going to learn about data extraction, data validation and data preparation. And all these three steps are required for the model to be trained properly, okay? So keep watching till end. Now let's first learn about the data extraction. So what exactly is the data extraction? Now, data extraction is about retrieving data from various sources such as databases, APIs, flat files or web scraping. Now by the definition itself you understand what is data extraction, right? So what is the very first step in data extraction? The very first step in data extraction is about identifying the data, where it is, the origin. We have to first understand from where to get the data, okay? So let's talk about that, okay? Now there are various data sources, okay, and I have divided that many sources into 6 categories, okay, and each categories, what are the examples, I'll also tell you. The first category is the structured data sources, okay, which are basically more in a tabular form or table format, that we call the structured data set, okay. And from where we can get that? We can get that from MySQL DB, PostgreSQL DB, Oracle, SQL Server, or from data warehouse such as Amazon, Redshift, Google BigQuery or Snowflake, or from spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel, Google Sheet, or from the ERP system like SAP. Okay. The next category is the semi-structured data example or data sources. Okay, and what are the examples? For example, API, the data we get from the REST APIs or GraphQL, SOAP, all this API we get the data. Or for example, JSON or XML files data, or data from the email systems, or NoSQL databases, for example, MongoDB, Cassandra, and Redis. Okay, because those data that we get from those databases are also kind of a JSON format or object format. Okay, or dictionary format. Okay, now the third category is the unstructured data sources. Okay, and what are the examples? For example, document like PDF, Word files, those are the unstructured data. For example, media files like images, audio, video, web scraping, that is extracting data from different website, blogs, article pages, right? Then from logs, from system logs or say Nginx log or AWS CloudWatch logs or ELK stack logs, all those kind of logs, right? Okay, so all those are the unstructured data sources. Then the real-time data sources, which is basically data from IoT devices or sensors or smart meters, message queues like Kafka or RabbitMQ or AWS Kinesis, social media feeds like live data from platform like Twitter, which is now X, and Facebook or Meta. And the fifth category is the manual data collection, which is from the, for example, service like Google Forms or Typeform, and user input like form submission from web or mobile apps. Okay, and the final data source is from the cloud based data sources, which is from cloud storage like AWS, S3, Google Cloud Storage, or Azure Blob Storage, or from SaaS platform like Salesforce, HubSpot, or Google Analytics. So these are different kind of data sources from where we have to do the data extraction. Now the second step in data extraction is about format understanding or handling the different data formats. Okay, and what are the different data format I'm talking about? Now there are many kind of data format. For example, we have structured data format like CSV, XLS, or SQL dumps. We have semi-structured data format like JSON, XML, YML. We have unstructured data format like TXT, PDF, images, videos. We have binary format like Parquet, Orvo, or protocol buffers. We have time series like InfluxDB, line protocol, or Prometheus. We have data serialization like Pickle and MessageBank. As a part of the data extraction process, we have to handle all that. Okay, so the third step in data extraction is the automation implementation, which is to streamline the extraction process. Now, what kind of automation I'm talking about? I'm talking about for data extraction. We can utilize like programming language like Python and different model like say SQL Alchemy, Scrappy, or other different tools to pull the data from various sources. For data transformation, you can utilize pandas, dpt, apache spark kind of tools to transform the data. Okay, now enough talk, let me show you how the data extraction process works. Now before I show you the actual data extraction process or example, there is one particular tool you should be aware about, which is the Jupyter notebook. Okay, now what is this Jupyter notebook? Now this Jupyter notebook is an open source interactive computing platform that allows users to create and share documents with live code, visualization, and narrative text. Now in MLOps, it is used for rapid experimentation, model development, and collaborative documentation, and streamlining the transition from research to production. Okay, and for that reason, I will show you the data extraction process as a part of this Jupyter notebook, but I will share a particular GitHub repo where you can run as a normal Python commands as well to experiment this. Okay, so let me show you in a Jupyter notebook. Now this is very easy. First install the Jupyter notebook. For example, if your Mac is very easy, just run this brew install Jupyter lab command. And if you are say in Linux or other environment, you can use the pip install Jupyter lab. That's all you have to do. Then after that start, I mean, you can just give the command and that will start. For example, I've given a sample command to start here. If you come here, see, this is the command to start sudo Jupyter notebook allow root. This will start the notebook in your laptop. Then just click on this file and then open. Then it will open the particular file for you. Okay. Now first click on this. Okay. This pip install pandas. By the way, this particular file already is in the particular repo. Okay, so you can find it here in the this repo link that will share in the description and the first comment. You can get that particular file from this particular repo that you can load here. Now in this file, first you have to run this pip install pandas and Scikit-Learn. So just click on this run off button and see it will just install this. Okay, then the next step is to run this. Because I've already done this, you can see the data and everything here, but just let me just run and show you. Okay, we just click on this run and you can see it's showing the data here. Okay, now this is about the loading of the data. Now that you can do in the file also. Let me show in a code so you can check that part. So in this code, for example, this data extraction.py. Now here if you see that we are importing pandas, it's a module that can be utilized to load the different CSV, XLS, those kind of files. Okay, so using pandas, see pd, which is the reference to pandas dot read CSV. Now this function, what it does, it read the particular CSV file path. For example, your user underscore data.csv, this which is here, and this data is not proper. There has some issue, then it's intentional data. Okay, now in this data extraction process, it's about loading the data into the particular variable, and after we have the data in a variable, we can utilize that particular data for different reasons. Okay, but what is the first thing we should do after doing this data extraction? Now let me talk about that. So after extracting the data, the next immediate step is about validating that particular extracted data. Okay, so yes, step one is always the data extraction. Okay, the second step is the data validation. And what kind of validation you should do? We can do schema validation. If there's a particular format of the data, we should validate the data format, the different attributes or fields. The next we can validate about missing values. Okay, for example, in our current data sets, okay, if you check the current data set, there are missing age value, there are missing email value, right, which is not proper data, right? So there are problems. So we have to identify those problems. Okay, so we talk about the missing data. Okay, then after that we have to do the outlier detection. Now what is this outlier we're talking about? Now for example, the human age, okay, it can be between say few months to maybe 100 or 120 years at max, but for some reason in a data it recorded as 240 or 340 or 180, whatever it is, like out of bound. Okay, so which is, unless you are a vampire, you cannot live that long, right? So in such cases we have to detect and handle that particular wrong data, right? So that we call outlier data detection. Okay, and then we have to make sure that all the data that's coming from different sources are consistent. Okay, so we have to have at this very basic validation in the dataset. Now let me show you in the script how it get done. Okay, so let's come back to this particular notebook where there is a data validation part. Okay, so if you see here, I have duplicated values. Okay, for example, here I put the Emily Davis as 2 records. There are some, like non values or missing values. There is some out of like outliers value like 128, which is not proper, right? So we will be validating all that. Now in pandas, there are inbuilt methods that you can utilize. For example, is null to check is there any null fields or not. Okay, that you can track. Then we can check data if any data age field is greater than 100 or any age big data less than 0, which is not proper, right? It should be between 0 to 100. We can detect all those outliers here. Okay, now we can add more condition to detect all those kind of problematic data. Then we can check the basic data types like D types. Okay, now if any data type coming not proper, we can check and verify that. Then there is duplicates. Now there is from pandas library, again we can use this duplicated function to find out what are the different duplicated, or say the duplicate rows are there, we can detect that. Okay, now if we run this particular uh, code here, the piece of code, you can see it's coming here. So missing values, user ID fine, name fine, one email is missing, one age is missing. Okay, age field value is missing. And if you come down, you can see outliers. Now Emily Davis are given 120 age, which is not proper. Okay, since I have duplicated 2 records, that's why 2 records showing. Okay, now data types, we are seeing, okay, all the data types of the basic fields. Then the duplicate record. So we have this particular function to find the duplicate records, right? That is here. So we have found Emily Davis actually 2 records there. Now we have the validation in place. Okay, we have found, okay, there are problems. So after finding that there is a problems, what is the next step? The next step is data preparation. Okay, so yes, you got it right. The next step is the data preparation. Now what do we do in the data preparation? Okay, so we have this raw data which is not cleaned, raw, like not, there might be duplicated records, there might be missing values, there might be wrong values. We have to do all the cleaning and normalization and scaling, and then we have to prepare the final data that can be utilized in the final ML model training. Okay, so we have to filter all the data, remove bad data, and have to make it a good data for the ML training. Okay, so let me show you a very basic example of this cleaning process that I'm talking about from our existing data record. That will make your doubts more clear. Okay, so if you see here, after the data validation, I mean, we found there are a lot of issues, right? Missing values and all that problem. So we have to do the data cleaning, feature engineering, normalization, and scaling, and splitting the data, right? So for example, create which should be utilized for the training data and which data can be utilized for the testing data. We can do that. Okay, for this process we are using the Scikit-Learn. Okay, and we're importing Scikit-Learn process pre-processing and Scikit-Learn model selection. Okay, to split the data, and we are utilizing pandas to import the data. Okay, for the extraction part. So first we are giving some sample data to the pandas. Okay, now it has issues, of course. It has the duplicated records. It has the missing values like missing age or missing email, right? So what you're doing here, first you are removing the duplicates. Okay, so whatever duplicate records are, we are removing the duplicate record and keeping the single record only. Okay, then we are cleaning the data. For example, age record is missing for some fields, right? So we are getting the median value for that particular age parameter. Okay, then what you're doing here, that we are dividing the this particular data into 2 data sets, one for the training and the second one for the testing. Okay, so that's why we're using the train and split function from this model selection, escalate model selection. We are splitting the data. These are all basic kind of data preparation stage. Okay, so if you run this particular code, what will be there? Just run it and see. First, it's remove the duplicated records. So after removing the duplicates, for example, we had the 2 Emily Davis, right? Now we have the single Emily Davis. Okay. Okay, and of course there are some missing fields and all, that's fine. Now in the after cleaning up and all that, there is a final training data, okay, where for example Emily Davis, um, where the data is that for example 120. Now we could have made that at a condition to make sure if it's 120, make it maybe less, like 20 less, or we can do all those kind of things, that's up to us, but I didn't do that here. Then we have the John Doe with age 28 and Sam Johnson, which is email is missing at 22. Okay. Now just like the particular age cleanup, we can do the email cleanup also if you want to. Okay, that's we have the different options. Now that as a testing data, we have utilized Jane Smith, where we have the email and the age is 28. Okay, so that is for the testing. So we can do this kind of splitting of the data, validation, removal of the duplicates, because all that as a part of the data preparation process. Okay, that's why it is important. All these three steps are important. You have to first, of course, load the data, then you have to validate the data, and then finally you have to clean and separate the data, okay, for the final ML model training. Okay, so now we are clear about the data preparation, which is about transforming the raw data. After cleaning, normalization, scaling, feature engineering, data splitting, we prepare the final set of data for the ML training. Now, what if I told you that most of the companies, okay, they have this common process, not just as a part of the MLOps process, okay, and we call that ETL process. Now, what is this ETL process? Now, this ETL stand for the extract, transform, and load process. Okay. Now, what is it? Now, it's a very crucial process for data warehousing and data integration, enabling organization to consolidate data from the various sources into the single repository for analysis and reporting. Now, this is the definition part. What exactly it does? As I say, it's a common in different organization for the reporting and analysis and reporting part. Now in MLOps, this particular phase is done. You can see the extract part and transform part is common. Okay, and the data get saved in some warehouse or data lake that will be coming. What I mean, you have to understand first that what is the data lake and what is the data warehouse to understand this loading part. Now let's talk about that. So what is the data lake? Now, data lake, remember, data lake store the raw, unprocessed data in various format. Could be structured, could be semi-structured, could be unstructured data. Okay, and uses the schema on read and make it flexible for big data, AI, machine learning application. Okay, for example, there is Amazon S3 data lake, there is Azure data lake storage or ADLS, Google Cloud Storage data lake, Snowflake on AWS, Azure, and GCP. Now again, main thing, data lake where you store raw, unprocessed, structured, where is like could be DB tables kind of format, non-structured, for example, JSON data, YML data, unstructured could be log files, text file, okay, those kind of data. Okay, any kind of data can be stored in a data lake. That is we call the data lake. Okay, as you can see from this particular diagram that I've made, it's just like that. Okay, now what we will call the data warehouse? Now, data warehouse is where we store the structured data only. Remember, data warehouse, we store the structured data only and processed data, which is the final set of data then that we can utilize for AI/ML training or could be for other reasoning. Okay, for querying, reporting, analysis, all those kind of thing we can do from this final data set. Okay, what are the example? There is Amazon Redshift, there is Google BigQuery, Azure Synapse Analytics, Snowflake, Greenplum, Apache Hive, and Vertica. So those are the example of the warehouse. Now by now you understand what is the data extraction process, what is the data validation process, and what is the data preparation process. Okay, so in this video, that's it. Today's we have covered what you have to learn before learning about the ML training phase, the data loading and data extraction and loading and transform part. The ETL part is common, as I said, right? Those ETL, the extract and load part you have understand, right? Now in the next video, I will discuss about how to train a ML model. Okay, so see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.